Now I'm really excited about this next laptop that I'm about to introduce to you and take our first look at. It's the Lenovo IdeaPad Slim 7 Carbon. It's the one that is also known as the Yoga Slim 7 Carbon. It has a 14-inch 2.8K display. It's a touch display with a 90 Hz refresh rate. It's got a really light and thin chassis, premium all-metal design, and I gotta say, I am super impressed. It's powered by the AMD Ryzen 7 5800U processor, and it also has integrated Radeon graphics, but there's also an option for the MX450 GPU. Let's see if this comes together to make this the ultimate ultra portable. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my unboxing and first look review at the Lenovo IdeaPad Slim 7 Carbon with that 14-inch OLED display. Coming up. Now, while we take a look at the specs, I want to let everybody know, in the interest of transparency and full disclosure, that I'm not being paid by Lenovo, I'm not being sponsored by Lenovo. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Lenovo is not getting copy approval. That means they're seeing this video for the first time, just like you. Now, this review unit is on loan from Lenovo, and once this review is done, I'll be sending it back. Now, if you head on over to Lenovo's website, it says it's coming soon. We don't know when availability is, and I won't have pricing officially from Lenovo until that's available. But if you go over to eBay, I was able to find it for $1,086 in terms of US dollars. It has limited supply, so if you're in the market for this laptop, I would act fast. For those interested, link will be in the description below. And with the specs and pricing out of the way, let's find out what you get inside the box. Let's open it up. Now, lifting the lid, you're greeted by the unit itself. Now, holding it for the first time, the first thing that comes to mind is, wow, this is super thin and light, very reminiscent of the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Nano that I reviewed a few months back. Now, as far as what else is inside the box, you get some documentation, which includes a startup guide and, of course, some warranty information as well. You get a 65-watt USB-C power adapter, and you also get the extension cord as well. And I love the fact they give you a hub in the box, giving you some of the missing ports on this ultra-thin laptop. You get a USB-A port, you get an HDMI port, and you get a VGA port. Well, that's interesting. You don't get an SD card reader on that. That's pretty interesting as well. And it's slightly less than 1.1 kilograms or 2.42 pounds. This is extremely portable, thin and light, easy to take with you on the go. Now, this is housed in a military-tough carbon fiber reinforced chassis. There's very little give, despite the fact that this is super thin and light. You gotta love it. All right, let's check out the port selection. We're going to start off on the left side where you get a USB-C 3.2 Gen 2 port that supports DisplayPort 1.4 and Power Delivery 3.0. You get a second USB-C 3.2 Gen 1 port next to that, and then you get a 3.5 millimeter headphone microphone combo jack. Moving over to the right side, you get a third USB-C 3.2 Gen 2 port, the kill switch for the webcam, which you gotta love, and then finally your power button to round out the ports on the laptop. Notably missing, there's no SD card reader, but they do give you a hub in the box that gives you a USB-A port, an HDMI port, and a VGA port at no additional cost. That's good. Now, I tip my hat to Lenovo for making it pretty easy to get inside this laptop. All you need to do is remove the 5 T5 Torx screws, use a pry tool to pop off the bottom plate, and you're in. It's that simple. Now let's talk about the SSD, and you can configure this with up to 1 terabyte M.2 PCIe Gen 3 SSD, as I have here today. That's 512 gigabytes on my review unit. I'm not sure if PCIe 4 will be supported. I'm going to look into that, but it is Gen 3, and as far as the reads and writes, as you can see, certainly fast enough for most of what you're going to do. Not as fast as the Gen 4 we've been seeing, but certainly fast enough, that's for sure. Now, as far as the RAM is concerned, unfortunately, that is soldered into the motherboard, so you as the user cannot upgrade it yourself, but you can configure this with up to 16 gigabytes of LPDDR4X RAM, and the good news is it's running in dual channel mode, so you'll get the best possible performance out of it. Now, as far as the wireless is concerned, it has a Wi-Fi 6 Bluetooth combo card, and as you can see, it's slotted in. That means you as the user, if you have to change it out down the road, you have that option. It's not soldered into the motherboard. And so far, both have been working very well. No issue on either front. Now, the star of the show to me has to be this 14-inch OLED display. It has a QHD Plus resolution. That's 2880 by 1800. And it also is a 16:10 aspect ratio, which I am a big fan of. You see more on the display. You'll do less scrolling when it comes to web browsing, but it also will be good for consuming media. You will see slightly black bars on the top and the bottom, not a big deal, but where you'll really shine with this display is productivity. So it's a nice blend between the two. Now, Lenovo claims that this will get up to 400 nits. I actually measured 403 nits, a little bit above, and it's been super bright. So with the OLED display, of course, you get those really deep blacks, the really excellent contrast, and you get the really vibrant colors here. Now, the good news is it's a very color accurate display that not only is color accurate, but also gives you great coverage of the color gamut. So if you're a content creator that does Lightroom, Photoshop, color grading, video editing, this is something you want to take a look at because this display is superb. And I absolutely love the fact that this is not only a 2.8K OLED display, but it also has a pretty high refresh rate at 90 Hertz. Now it's 60 out of the box, but if you go to the display settings, you can set it to 90. That'll give you the more smooth scrolling, the more fluid experience as you navigate through the OS. Now this is also a touch display, as you see here, and I thought it was very responsive. So you really get it all with this display. A lot to like here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'll have more on this display very soon, but my takeaway is this gives you a really great OLED display, but it won't break the bank in terms of the price. So great price to performance value here, a great ratio, especially considering you are getting this OLED display. So this is the front-facing camera, 720p webcam of the Lenovo IdeaPad or Yoga, depending where you are, Slim 7 Carbon. It's got that OLED display. 720p webcam, as I mentioned, 30 frames per second. What do you think about the video quality? What do you think about the audio quality of the internal mics? Couple of things to note. This is an infrared camera. That means you can log in with face recognition with Windows Hello, so that's good. Is it good for your Zoom needs? Is it good for your hybrid work needs as we're working from home part-time, some of us? Let me know in that comment section below. And as I mentioned earlier, this has that kill switch on the right side of the laptop, and that's always great for more security and privacy. One thing to note, there is no fingerprint scanner on this laptop. And for those wondering, yes, you can open the lid with one finger. Now, I found the hinge very sturdy on this, not too much flex on the lid. So that's been pretty good in terms of the build. And you can fold the screen flat 180 degrees, as you see here. It's not a yoga device in terms of the convertible nature, although they call it a yoga outside the United States, but it's still not a convertible. It's a clamshell at the end of the day, but it can fold back 180 degrees. Now, as far as the keyboard is concerned, we get those familiar smile-shaped keys we know from Lenovo on the IdeaPad and the Yoga lines in the past. Pretty good tactile feedback, a little bit shallow in terms of the key travel, but still comfortable to type on. Nonetheless, for extended periods of time, it's actually been pretty good so far, but I've only had it for about 48 hours, so that is something to bear in mind. And it's got a multi-stage backlight. Now, the LED backlight lights up white, and against the silver keys is sometimes hard to see the contrast, to see the difference between the two. Something to keep in mind. Now, it does have a pretty nice touchpad. I thought it was very responsive. It's a precision touchpad. Two-finger scrolling was very good. Buttery smooth, especially with this 90 Hertz refresh rate in terms of the display. And all the gestures are working as advertised. No complaints on that front so far. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's also a touch display, so you can use your finger to navigate through the OS. Again, another nice option to have. Now, this is powered by the Ryzen 7 5800U CPU, and it's got 16 gigabytes of LPDDR4X RAM, and it also has 512 gigabytes of PCIe NVMe SSD storage. And as you can see from these initial benchmarks, this is pretty much on par of what we've been seeing from that Ryzen 7 chipset in other laptops in this category. And of course, this is going to be very good. You can game on it, you can video edit on it, you can get some pretty good performance out of this ultra portable. I'm going to test more in the upcoming full review. I'll test the thermals, I'll test gaming. We're going to have all of that coming very soon. But my initial takeaway is performance is very good on this extremely ultra portable. Now, the Slim 7 Carbon has a 61 watt-hour battery, and that's actually a pretty decent size for a 14-inch ultra-portable as we have here. Now, it also supports Rapid Charge Express that Lenovo claims will get you 3 hours of power with only a 15-minute charge. Now, I haven't had it long enough to test that. I will bring you all the numbers in terms of the battery life and charging times in that upcoming full review. And one thing to keep in mind with this high-resolution OLED display with a 90 Hz refresh rate, I'm not expecting great battery life out of it, but I'm not expecting it to be terrible either, somewhere in the middle. We're going to have all the numbers very soon, so stay tuned. Now, another area where I'm pleasantly surprised is the audio. This has 4 speakers with Dolby Atmos. Having Dolby Atmos enhances the spatial audio experience. And that's been pretty good so far. It's got a smart amp and it's got digital signal processing, or DSP. So far, the volume's been pretty good. So has the bass, and the mids have been pretty good. I have been really surprised on how good these speakers are. We'll have more to say on that very soon. Okay, let's bring it all home. So far, so good, ladies and gentlemen. The IdeaPad Slim 7 Carbon with its 2.8K OLED display and 90 Hz refresh rate is simply stunning. I like the super thin, light design. It's extremely portable. I like the stylish looks and the military-grade ruggedness of it. So far, it's held up well in the limited time that I've had it. I like the fact that it has an upgradable SSD. I like the 4 Dolby Atmos speakers, a really big surprise on such a thin and light laptop. Some pretty good sound coming out of that. I like the comfortable backlit keyboard and the precision touchpad, and I like the good performance out of that AMD Ryzen 7 5800U with the integrated Radeon graphics. I'll have more to say on that very soon. The negatives, of course, is the fact that it has soldered RAM. You cannot upgrade it as the user. That's because it's a very thin and light chassis. Not surprising there. No 4K option in terms of the display, but I think 4K would be overkill. That 2.8K display, OLED display, is simply stunning anyway. No SD card reader. That's another big no-no as far as I'm concerned. But again, not even a micro SD card reader, but that's something to bear in mind. They do give you the dongle for some other ports, but no SD card reader. And then finally, a 720p webcam. Not the best I've seen, but certainly not the worst. The sound of the audio in terms of the internal mics were okay. I would like to see a 1080p webcam, especially since we're now in 2022. That should be the minimum standard. But so far, no deal breakers yet, ladies and gentlemen. I look forward to putting it through its paces and give you my full review. That will be coming very soon. So what do you think about this bad boy? The Lenovo IdeaPad Slim 7 Carbon, 90 Hz refresh rate, OLED display, absolutely gorgeous. Really thin chassis, of course, less than 1.1 kilograms. Really super light, super thin, easy to take with you on the go. Now, it's got the Ryzen 7 5800U. It's also got the integrated Radeon graphics. Of course, there is an option to get it with an MX450. I don't have that one here, but I'm really digging this really light gray color. It doesn't show hardly any fingerprints, if at all, so it's been really good in that regard. Again, super thin and light. That's what makes this pretty special. And what also makes it really special is that 14-inch 90 Hertz display. It's a 2.8K display. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it also gets bright. They claim 400 nits. I got just about 400 nits, a little bit above that actually. So it's been pretty good in that regard. Good color accuracy. Excellent coverage of the color gamut. So if you're a content creator and you want a really thin and light portable to take with you on the road, this is one to look at. Performance was very good as far as the initial performance that I've gotten so far, but of course I need to do further testing. It's got a 61 watt-hour battery. I still need to do all my testing. I haven't had it long enough to give you any numbers yet, but I will give it to you in the full review. A lot more to test in terms of the thermals and, of course, full performance, gaming, and everything that I normally do. But I'm curious to know what you think. Let me know in that comment section below. Now, as far as pricing is concerned, this is pretty interesting because if you're going up against something like the XPS 13, which is a much more expensive product, this can come in at around $1,100, maybe even less. I found it over at eBay, so check out that link below. There's limited stock. That's going for about $1,086, so a little bit less than $1,100. And to me, that is a steal considering they're getting that AMD Ryzen processor. You're getting that 14-inch, 90 hertz touchscreen OLED display that's absolutely gorgeous. It's bright, sharp, color accurate, and has good coverage of the color gamut, as I mentioned. So you may want to check it out. Again, link in that description below. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew from AMD Tech. See ya.